The human fleet that departed Earth's solar system was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 1,000 combat vessels, ranging from massive dreadnoughts to swift destroyers, moved through hyperspace towards Zephyrian territory with a single purpose: complete elimination of the alien threat. Admiral Lisa Carter commanded the armada from the bridge of the USS Judgment, a ship so large it carried its own fighter squadrons and manufacturing facilities. The vessel had been built specifically for this mission, taking the war to the enemy's home system. "Admiral," reported Captain Jake Morrison from his flagship USS Vengeance, "long-range scouts have confirmed the location of Zephyr Prime. The planet is heavily defended, but most of their fleet was destroyed in our system." Carter studied the tactical displays showing the alien homeworld. "What are we looking at, Captain?" "Orbital defense platforms, sir. Maybe 50 installations, plus whatever ships they have left. Intelligence suggests most of their military was committed to the Earth operation. The human fleet had grown beyond all expectations. Earth's shipyards were now producing vessels faster than any civilization in galactic history. Every day brought new ships, new weapons, new technology adapted from captured alien systems. Dr. Kevin Walsh, now serving as the fleet's chief intelligence officer, provided the latest analysis of Zephyrian capabilities. Their homeworld defenses are designed to repel invasion fleets, not the kind of force we're bringing. They've never faced anything like this. President Rodriguez had given Admiral Carter broad authority to conduct the campaign as she saw fit. The message was simple. Humanity would accept nothing less than total Zephyrian surrender and complete dismantling of their military capabilities. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyr system like an avalanche of metal and fire. Alien sensors immediately detected the massive force, but the numbers seemed impossible to believe. Commander Veltar, one of the few surviving Zephyrian military leaders, stared at the tactical displays in his command center on Zephyr Prime. "How many ships?" he asked his sensor operator. "Over 1,000 confirmed, sir, possibly more arriving. They're maintaining formation at the system's edge." Veltar felt something he had never experienced before: complete terror. The humans had brought an armada that outnumbered every Zephyrian vessel in existence. This wasn't an invasion fleet. This was an extermination force. Admiral Carter opened communication channels to the alien homeworld. Her image appeared on screens throughout Zephyr Prime as she delivered humanity's terms. "I am Admiral Lisa Carter of the Terran Federation. You have attacked our world, murdered our civilians, and attempted to enslave our species. You have won. Opportunity to avoid total destruction." The transmission continued with terms that shocked the alien leadership. Complete military surrender. Dismantling of all weapons systems. Reparations for Luna Colony. Submission to human oversight of their government. "You have 24 hours to comply," Carter concluded. "Refuse, and we will demonstrate what total warfare means." Veltar desperately contacted other Zephyrian systems, seeking support, but the responses were devastating. System after system reported rebellion by conquered species. The Dominion's empire was collapsing as news of Earth's victory spread throughout the galaxy. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving surrender requests from our own outlying colonies. They want to negotiate directly with the humans rather than fight." The psychological impact was complete. Zephyrian military morale, built on centuries of easy conquest, shattered when faced with an enemy that not only fought back, but won decisively. Admiral Kexivor's successor, Fleet Commander Dex Ran, attempted to organize the homeworld's defense. "All orbital platforms to maximum readiness. Deploy remaining ships in defensive formation around the planet." But the numbers were hopeless. 50 defense platforms and 37 ships against 1,000 human vessels. Even with superior technology, the odds were impossible. Captain Morrison received authorization for a demonstration of human capabilities. "Target the outermost defense platform," Carter ordered. "Show them what our weapons can do." The USS Vengeance, along with 20 other ships, opened fire on a single alien defense station. The combined kinetic barrage lasted 30 seconds and left nothing but debris where the platform had been. "Broadcast that to their leadership," Carter ordered. "Let them understand what happens to the other 49 platforms if they refuse to surrender." The demonstration had its intended effect. Veltar watched the complete destruction of a defense platform that was supposed to be invulnerable. Human weapons had eliminated it faster than he thought possible. Dr. Walsh monitored alien communications as panic spread through their command structure. "They're arguing among themselves," he reported. "Military leaders want to fight, but civilian government wants to surrender." "What about their population?" Carter asked. "Intelligence suggests they're terrified, Admiral. News of our fleet's arrival has caused widespread civilian protests demanding surrender." The Zephyrian species had built their identity around military conquest. Being conquered themselves was a psychological trauma they weren't equipped to handle. Veltar made a final desperate gambit, contacting the Galactic Council for intervention. "The humans are conducting total warfare," he transmitted. "They show no mercy to defeated enemies. They must be stopped before they threaten other species." The Council's response was swift and devastating. The Zephyrian Dominion chose to attack a peaceful species without provocation. The humans are defending themselves. The Council will not intervene. Worse yet, several Council species formally recognized humanity's right to conduct military operations against Zephyrian territory. Earth had gained galactic legitimacy for its war of extermination. As the 24-hour deadline approached, civilian riots erupted across Zephyr Prime. The population demanded surrender rather than face the human fleet's overwhelming firepower. Veltar received a final communication from Admiral Carter. "Commander, your time is up. What is your decision?" Looking at tactical displays showing 1,000 human ships in perfect formation, knowing that his own forces were outnumbered 30-1, Veltar made the only choice possible. "We surrender," he transmitted. "Complete and unconditional surrender." Carter's response was immediate and non-negotiable. "All military vessels will power down immediately. All defense platforms will lower shields. Any ship that maintains weapons or tries to escape will be destroyed without warning." The surrender was swift and complete. Zephyrian ships throughout the system powered down their weapons and submitted to human inspection teams. Defense platforms went offline one by one. Captain Morrison led the occupation forces that took control of Zephyr Prime's orbital facilities. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender signals from Zephyrian forces throughout this sector of space. It appears their entire military is collapsing." The human fleet had accomplished something unprecedented in galactic history. They had completely defeated a major interstellar power in less than 6 months, from first contact to total victory. Admiral Carter addressed the conquered alien homeworld from orbit. "The Zephyrian Dominion is hereby dissolved. All conquered systems are free to govern themselves. All military technology will be surrendered to human forces." Dr. Walsh's teams began the massive task of cataloging alien technology and databases. What they found revealed the true scope of Zephyrian atrocities. 17 conquered civilizations, billions of enslaved beings, centuries of oppression. "Admiral, President Rodriguez contacted Carter from Earth. The Galactic Council is requesting formal diplomatic relations with humanity. We're being invited to take the Zephyrians' place as a major galactic power. Carter looked out at the defeated alien homeworld spinning below her flagship. The species that had thought humans were primitive mammals now served as laborers, rebuilding the systems they had destroyed. "Tell the Council we accept," she replied. "But make it clear that humanity has learned something important about galactic politics. Peace is good, but strength is better." The war was over. Humanity had won completely. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the communications officer called out from across the bridge. The USS Liberty floated peacefully near Jupiter's largest moon, conducting routine patrol duties that had become almost boring over the past 6 months. "Captain, we're receiving an unknown transmission," Lieutenant Mary Johnson announced, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the ship's systems. "It's not from any Earth frequency, sir." Jake set down his coffee cup and walked over to the communications station. "Put it on the main screen, Lieutenant." The view screen flickered to life, showing a face that definitely wasn't human. The being had scaled skin, red eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, the words came through the ship's translation system in perfect English. "Attention, primitive inhabitants of the third planet," the alien said in a cold, formal tone. "I am Fleet Commander Zalthek of the Zephyrian Dominion. Your species has been selected for integration into our empire." Jake felt his stomach drop. This was what every space captain had trained for, but hoped would never happen. First contact with an alien species, and it wasn't friendly. "You have 72 standard hours to surrender completely," Zalthek continued. "All military forces must stand down. All government leaders must prepare for transfer of authority. Resistance will result in the total destruction of your civilization." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Jake stared at the blank screen for several seconds before his training kicked in. "Lieutenant Johnson, get me a direct line to Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha." Within minutes, the call was connected to the Pentagon. General Ryan Phillips appeared on screen, his weathered face showing concern even before Jake started. "Talking. General, we just received what appears to be a surrender demand from an alien fleet," Jake reported quickly. "They're calling themselves the Zephyrian Dominion, and they're giving us 3 days to submit." General Phillips was quiet for a moment, then nodded grimly. "How many ships, Captain?" "Unknown, sir. The transmission came from outside our sensor range. But if they're demanding surrender from the entire planet, they must have significant firepower." "Understood. Maintain your position and keep monitoring all frequencies. I'm calling an emergency session with the President immediately." The connection ended, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts and his crew. He looked around the bridge at the faces of his officers. They all understood what this meant. Humanity's first contact with alien life might also be its last. On Earth, President Amanda Rodriguez sat in the Situation Room, surrounded by her top advisors. The emergency session had been called within an hour of Captain Morrison's report. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats filled the secure conference room. "Options?" President Rodriguez asked simply. "We try to negotiate," suggested Secretary of State Helen Barnes. "Maybe they want something specific. Resources, technology, territory. There might be room for compromise." Admiral Lisa Carter shook her head. "Their message was clear, Madam President. Total surrender or total destruction. That doesn't sound like they're interested in negotiation." Dr. Kevin Walsh from the Space Research Institute spoke up nervously. "We have no idea what their technology is capable of. If they can travel between star systems easily, their weapons probably far exceed anything we have. General Phillips pulled up a display showing Earth's military capabilities. Our space-based defenses are limited. Most of our firepower is designed for planetary conflicts, not space warfare. If they have a significant fleet, we're at a major disadvantage. President Rodriguez studied the faces around the table. Try to make contact. Open a diplomatic channel and see if they'll talk. The attempt was made through every communication method Earth possessed. Radio, laser communications, quantum entanglement transmitters, everything was tried. The response came back within hours. Zaltek's face appeared on screens around the world as the aliens broadcast their reply on every frequency simultaneously. The offer of surrender stands. 72 hours. We do not negotiate with primitives. Your choice is simple: submit or be destroyed. President Rodriguez tried again. We're willing to discuss terms. There must be some arrangement that benefits both our species. The alien commander's expression never changed. You are mammals. You are weak. You will serve or you will die. No other options exist. The transmission cut off again, and this time no amount of calling could raise a response. Across Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Every television station, every internet site, every radio broadcast carried the same message. Aliens had arrived, and they wanted humanity to surrender completely. Some people panicked. Others prayed. A few tried to pretend it wasn't real. But most humans did something the Zephyrians had not expected. They got angry. The 72 hours passed slowly. Military units around the world went to high alert. Civilian populations evacuated from major cities. Scientists worked frantically to understand what little they knew about the alien technology. Captain Morrison and the Liberty remained on station near Jupiter, watching and waiting. Other human ships took positions throughout the solar system, though everyone knew they were vastly outnumbered and outgunned. When the deadline arrived, President Rodriguez made a final attempt at communication. "We cannot surrender our freedom," she broadcast to the alien fleet. "But we're still willing to find a peaceful solution." The reply came not in words, but in weapons fire. Luna Colony was humanity's largest off-world settlement. 30,000 miners and researchers lived and worked in the underground facilities, extracting resources and conducting experiments. They had been evacuated to the deepest shelters when the alien ultimatum arrived, but they were still there when the attack began. The Zephyrian assault was swift and merciless. Energy beams from orbit struck the colony's surface installations. The protective domes cracked and shattered. Atmosphere rushed out into the vacuum of space. Emergency systems failed one by one. Captain Morrison watched in horror from the Liberty as Luna Colony died. His sensors detected the massive energy signatures of the alien weapons, far more powerful than anything in Earth's arsenal. The attack lasted only 20 minutes, but when it was over, 30,000 human beings were dead. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Johnson. "They actually did it." Jake felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. These aliens had just murdered thousands of innocent people to make a point. They thought this would break human spirit and force a quick surrender. They had made a terrible mistake. President Rodriguez addressed the world from the White House bunker, her face grim but determined. "Citizens of Earth," she began, "the aliens have shown us their true nature. They are not here to negotiate. They are not here to coexist. They are here to conquer and enslave us." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "But they have made one critical error. They think we are weak. They think we will break under pressure. They clearly don't understand what they're dealing with. Her voice grew stronger. I hereby declare a state of total war. Every nation, every military force, every resource on this planet is now united, under one mission, the complete destruction of the alien threat. Around the world, humanity began to wake up. The Zephyrian reinforcement fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a swarm of angry insects. Admiral HFY commanded 237 ships, the largest military force in Dominion history. He had come to finish what should have been a simple conquest operation. Admiral Lisa Carter watched the alien arrival from the bridge of her new flagship, the USS Nemesis. Earth's shipyards had produced over 800 combat vessels in the weeks since. The Saturn battle, along with hundreds of support ships and automated defense platforms. Admiral, reported Captain Jake Morrison from his position with the Northern Fleet. Long-range sensors show the alien formation. They're arranged in traditional conquest formation, orbital bombardment squadrons with escort vessels. Carter smiled grimly. They still don't understand what they're facing. Fleet captains, prepare for Operation Total War. All battle groups to assigned positions. The human fleet had been reorganized into 6 major battle groups, each commanded by officers who had proven themselves in the earlier engagements. Morrison led the northern group from the USS Vengeance. Captain Danny Stewart commanded the southern group aboard the USS Retribution. Rear Admiral Tony Garcia controlled the central group. 3 new commanders led the Eastern, Western, and Reserve groups. Unlike the aliens, human forces were deployed throughout the solar system in a 3-dimensional defensive network that could quickly become an offensive formation. Every asteroid, every moon, every orbital platform had been turned into a potential weapons station. Admiral HFY studied the sensor readings with growing concern. "Where are their ships?" he asked his tactical officer. "Intelligence reports suggested minimal space-based defenses. Sir, we're detecting energy signatures throughout the system. Hundreds of vessels, possibly more. Our sensors are having difficulty getting accurate counts." The alien commander had expected to find a few dozen primitive ships guarding Earth. Instead, his sensors showed military activity from Mercury to Pluto. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Commander Veltar, HFY, contacted his second-in-command. "Deploy the fleet in standard conquest formation. We'll demonstrate our power by destroying their outer colonies, then demand surrender." It was exactly the wrong decision. Captain Morrison received the alien fleet's formation data and immediately saw the tactical opportunity. "They're forming up for planetary bombardment again," he reported to Admiral Carter. "Same mistakes, larger scale." "All battle groups, begin envelopment maneuvers," Carter ordered. "I want them surrounded before they realize what's happening." The human fleet moved with a coordination that stunned alien observers. Ships that had seemed scattered throughout. The system suddenly revealed themselves as part of a massive tactical formation. The Zephyrians found themselves inside a sphere of human vessels that had appeared as if from nowhere. Dr. Kevin Walsh monitored alien communications from his command center on Earth. "They're requesting status reports from their conquered systems," he reported to President Rodriguez. "Several systems aren't responding." The president studied the communication intercepts with interest. "What does that mean?" "It means other species are watching this battle, Madam President. If we defeat the main Zephyrian fleet, their empire might start falling apart." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about Earth's survival anymore. Humanity's resistance was inspiring rebellion throughout Zephyrian space. The battle began when Commander Veltar ordered his ships to bombard the Mars colonies. The energy beams lanced out toward the red planet, but they never reached their targets. Stewart's southern group intercepted the attack with a wall of kinetic fire that shredded the alien bombardment squadron. "Return fire," Kexivore ordered. "All ships, engage the human fleet." But the Zephyrian response was confused and uncoordinated. Their ships were designed to work together in bombarding fixed targets, not fighting a mobile enemy that attacked from all directions simultaneously. Morrison's northern group struck the alien fleet's command section with devastating effect. Railgun rounds and plasma fire tore through alien shields that had never been designed to handle such concentrated kinetic assault. "Their shields are failing across multiple sectors," Lieutenant Tony Garcia reported from the tactical station, aboard the Vengeance. "Recommend focusing fire on command vessels." "Negative," Morrison replied coldly. "Target everything. No survivors." The word sent a chill through the bridge crew, but they understood the logic. The aliens had come to commit genocide. Humanity was simply returning the favor more efficiently. Captain Stewart's battle group developed a new tactic during the engagement. Ships with critical damage were deliberately rammed into alien vessels at maximum velocity, turning damaged human ships into kinetic weapons of incredible destructive power. "Stewart to all ships," came the transmission across human frequencies. "The Glasgow Kiss is now standard procedure. If you're going down, take an alien with you." The tactic was both militarily effective and psychologically devastating. Alien crews watched in horror as human vessels with no hope of survival deliberately crashed into their ships at enormous speeds. Admiral Kexivore tried desperately to coordinate a withdrawal as his fleet disintegrated around him. "All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance. We need to regroup." But there was no safe distance. Human ships were everywhere, hunting alien vessels with a determination that bordered on obsession. Captain after captain reported being pursued by multiple human ships that refused to break off their attacks. "They're not following standard engagement protocols," reported Captain Zalthek from one of the few remaining command ships. "They pursue individual vessels until complete destruction. No quarter is being given." The concept of total warfare was completely foreign to Zephyrian experience. Their conquests had always involved overwhelming displays of force, followed by quick surrender. These humans fought like they intended to exterminate every alien in the system. Dr. Walsh's analysis of alien behavior patterns revealed something crucial. "They're trying to surrender," he reported to Admiral Carter during the battle. "Multiple ships are broadcasting surrender signals." "Ignore them," Carter replied without hesitation. "They showed no mercy to Luna Colony. They get none from us." The human fleet's response to surrender attempts was swift and final. Ships that lowered their shields and powered down weapons were destroyed just as quickly as those that continued fighting. Rear Admiral Garcia's central group cornered a squadron of alien heavy cruisers near Jupiter's moons. The engagement lasted 6 hours and ended with complete destruction of all alien vessels. "Sir," reported Commander Julie Brooks from the tactical station, "we're receiving communications from other star systems. Multiple species are declaring independence from the Zephyrian Dominion." The news spread through the human fleet like wildfire. Earth's resistance hadn't just defeated the alien invasion. It had sparked galaxy-wide rebellion against Zephyrian rule. Admiral Kexivore's flagship took catastrophic damage from Morrison's concentrated assault. As the ship's systems failed around him, he sent one final transmission to Zephyrian High Command. "The humans are not primitive," he reported. "They are the most dangerous military force we have ever encountered. They fight with tactics we cannot counter. They show no mercy to defeated enemies. If you face them, bring everything you have, because they will. The transmission cut off as the flagship exploded, taking Admiral Kexivore with it. When the battle ended 12 hours later, no Zephyrian ships remained operational. 237 alien vessels had been completely destroyed. Human casualties were higher than in previous engagements. 43 ships lost, over 2,000 personnel killed, but the victory was absolute. Captain Morrison's after-action report was grim but satisfied. Enemy forces showed improved tactical coordination but still failed to adapt to human warfare methods. Recommend continued use of multi-axis attacks and kinetic weapons systems. Admiral Carter addressed the fleet after the battle. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just defeated the largest military force in Zephyrian history. But this is not over. We're going to hunt down every alien ship, every alien base, every alien outpost, until this threat is completely eliminated. The human fleet began preparations for the next phase of operations. They were no longer defending Earth. They were going on the offensive, carrying the war to the enemy's home territory. The aliens had wanted to erase humanity from existence. Instead, humanity was about to erase them. Admiral Lisa Carter stood before the largest gathering of human military commanders in history. The briefing room aboard Orbital Station Omega-1 was packed with captains, commodores, and generals from every nation on Earth. For the first time, humanity was truly united under a single military command. Operation Righteous Fury begins in 6 hours, Carter announced, her voice carrying clearly through the room. Our objectives are simple. Find every alien ship in our solar system. Destroy them completely. Take no prisoners. Show no mercy. Free. Tactical display behind her showed the current disposition of forces. Earth's fleet had grown to over 300 combat vessels of various sizes. The aliens maintained their position near Saturn with 43 ships, apparently waiting for reinforcements that would never arrive. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding the entire Northern Battle Group, studied the enemy positions carefully. "Admiral, what about their calls for reinforcement?" "Our intelligence teams have intercepted their communications," Carter replied. "They've sent distress signals to their home territories, but help is weeks away at minimum. We're not giving them weeks." Commander Julie Brooks, now serving as Fleet Tactical Coordinator, added her analysis. "The alien formation suggests they're designed for orbital bombardment, not ship-to-ship combat. They're arranged to attack a planet, not defend against a mobile fleet." Dr. Kevin Walsh's latest intelligence reports had revealed crucial information about Zephyrian military doctrine. "They've never fought against an opponent with significant space-based forces," he had explained. "Every conquest in their history involved attacking planets with minimal orbital defenses." Admiral Carter divided the human fleet into 3 battle groups. Morrison's northern group would attack from above the orbital plane. Captain Danny Stewart's southern group would strike from below. Rear Admiral Tony Garcia's central group would hit the aliens head-on. "Remember," Carter emphasized, "these beings murdered 30,000 innocent civilians without warning. They came here to enslave or destroy our entire species. We owe them nothing except total annihilation." The words sent a cold determination through every officer in the room. The image of Luna Colony's destruction was burned into the memory of every human in the fleet. This wasn't just military strategy. It was vengeance. 6 hours later, the hunt began. Morrison's northern group approached the alien fleet from an angle the Zephyrians hadn't expected. Their sensors were focused on Earth and the inner solar system, watching for defensive movements. They weren't prepared for attack from multiple directions. "Target the command ship first," Morrison ordered from the bridge of the USS Vengeance. "All vessels, fire at will." The opening salvo from 50 human ships lit up space with kinetic rounds and plasma fire. The alien flagship, a massive vessel, called the Dominance, staggered under impacts from dozens of railgun projectiles. Captain Zalthek, commanding the alien fleet, watched in horror as his shields failed under the unexpected barrage. "Return fire! All ships! Defensive formation!" But the Zephyrian response was too slow and too confused. They had expected to face primitive projectile weapons from planetary defenses, not coordinated fleet actions by hundreds of advanced warships. Stewart's Me, Southern Group struck seconds after Morrison's attack began. The aliens found themselves caught between two overwhelming forces, their neat formation dissolving into chaos as ships tried to maneuver in directions they weren't prepared for. "Their tactics are all wrong," Stewart observed from his command. "Ship USS Retribution. They're trying to form a bombardment line against a planet that isn't there." The alien vessels were powerful individually, but they had no experience with multi-axis fleet engagements. Their weapons were designed for attacking fixed targets, not mobile opponents approaching from multiple vectors. Garcia's Central Group completed the tactical trap, hitting the confused alien fleet from the front, while Morrison and Stewart pounded them from the flanks. Within 15 minutes of the engagement beginning, 12 alien ships had been completely destroyed. "Sir," Lieutenant Tony Garcia reported from the tactical station, "the aliens are attempting to retreat toward the outer system." "Negative," Morrison replied coldly. "No survivors. Run them down." The human ships were faster and more maneuverable than their alien counterparts. What had started as a coordinated battle became a hunting expedition as human vessels chased down fleeing aliens throughout Saturn's orbital space. Captain Zalthek tried desperately to coordinate his remaining forces, but human tactics made no sense according to established galactic warfare protocols. "They're not accepting surrender signals," he reported to Admiral Kexfor. "They're destroying every ship they catch." The concept of total warfare was foreign to Zephyrian experience. In their conquests, defeated enemies surrendered when the situation became hopeless. These humans seemed determined to fight until every alien ship was destroyed. "We need immediate reinforcement," Zalthek transmitted to his home fleet. "These humans are not primitive. Their military capabilities exceed all intelligence estimates. They fight like—" He paused, searching for words. "Like they want us all dead." The transmission was cut short as the Dominance took multiple hits from Morrison's battle group. The alien flagship's main reactor went critical, taking half the ship with it when it exploded. Dr. Walsh monitored the battle from Earth, analyzing alien communication intercepts. "They're calling for full fleet deployment," he reported to President Rodriguez. "The entire Zephyrian Dominion Navy, over 200 ships." "How long until they arrive?" the President asked. "Minimum 3 weeks, Madam President. But they are also recalling forces from conquered systems. If this continues, we could face 500 enemy vessels." Rodriguez studied the tactical displays showing the ongoing battle near Saturn. Human forces were systematically destroying the alien fleet with minimal losses. "Dr. Walsh, how many ships can we have ready in 3 weeks?" "At current production rates, 800 combat vessels plus support ships." The President smiled grimly. "Let them come. By the time they arrive, we'll be ready." The battle near Saturn lasted 18 hours total. When it was over, no alien ships remained operational. 43 Zephyrian vessels had been completely destroyed, their crews killed, their technology captured for analysis. Human casualties were remarkably light. 3 ships damaged, 17 personnel killed. The difference in losses was staggering and sent a clear message to anyone monitoring the engagement. Morrison's after-action report was brief and brutal. Enemy forces displayed no effective tactical coordination. Their weapons were powerful, but designed for bombardment, not fleet combat. Their crews showed poor training in damage control and emergency procedures. Admiral Carter reviewed the battle recordings with satisfaction. Distribute copies of this engagement to all ship commanders. I want everyone to see how these aliens fight when faced with real opposition. The recordings showed something that shocked many observers. The Zephyrians, for all their advanced technology, fought like they had never experienced serious resistance. Their formations were designed for intimidation, not combat effectiveness. Captain Stewart's observation proved particularly insightful. They fight like conquerors, not warriors. There's a critical difference. Conquerors are used to overwhelming weak opponents quickly. Warriors are trained to win against capable enemies. The distinction became the foundation of human tactical doctrine going forward. Earth's forces would exploit every weakness in alien military thinking, using their own experience with warfare to maximum advantage. As the human fleet regrouped after the Saturn engagement, long-range sensors detected something ominous. Multiple hyperspace signatures were approaching from the direction of Zephyrian space. The enemy reinforcements were coming faster than expected. Admiral Carter addressed the fleet commanders again. Ladies and gentlemen, round 1 is complete. We've shown these aliens that humans don't break under pressure. Now we're going to show them what happens when you threaten human survival. The hunt was just beginning. The transformation of human civilization happened faster than anyone thought possible. What had taken other species centuries to accomplish, humanity achieved in weeks. The hidden infrastructure built during decades of Cold War paranoia revealed itself as the foundation of the greatest military mobilization in galactic history. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the command deck of the newly constructed orbital station Omega-1, watching streams of data flow across dozens of displays. Each screen showed production figures that seemed impossible, new ships launching every few hours, weapon systems rolling off assembly lines at rates that defied logic. "How are we managing this pace?" she asked her chief of staff, Captain Danny. "Stewart." 3 shifts, Admiral. Round-the-clock production with workers volunteering for 18-hour days. Every major corporation has converted their facilities to military production. Ford is building plasma cannons. Toyota is manufacturing ship hulls. Boeing has retooled for combat vessels. Carter nodded, studying the deployment charts. And personnel? More volunteers than we can process, ma'am. Every military academy is running accelerated programs. Retired officers are coming back to service. Civilian pilots are training for combat operations. The numbers were staggering. Earth's official military had numbered in the millions. Within 2 weeks of the Luna colony attack, over 50 million humans were actively serving in some military capacity. Dr. Kevin Walsh's research teams had made breakthrough after breakthrough in reverse engineering alien technology. The captured debris from skirmishes near Jupiter provided crucial insights into Zephyrian systems. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, Dr. Walsh explained to a gathering of Earth's top military leaders via holographic conference. But they're weak against kinetic impacts. Our traditional projectile weapons actually penetrate better than their own energy beams. General Phillips leaned forward. Are you saying our primitive weapons are more effective? In some ways, yes. They've never faced an enemy that uses kinetic weapons as primary armament. Their defensive systems simply aren't designed for it. This revelation changed everything. human engineers began modifying ship designs to maximize kinetic weapon systems. Railguns, coil guns, and even simple projectile cannons were installed on vessels throughout the fleet. Captain Jake Morrison completed his first combat mission aboard the USS Vengeance, with results that surprised everyone. The 3 Zephyrian patrol vessels had been completely destroyed within minutes. "How?" Admiral Carter asked during the debriefing. "Their shields stopped our plasma fire initially," Jake reported. "But when we switched to kinetic rounds, they went down immediately. The aliens seemed confused by our tactics. They kept trying to maneuver for energy weapon exchanges while we pounded them with railgun fire," Lieutenant Tony Garcia added. "Their communication chatter suggested they'd never encountered kinetic weapons in ship-to-ship combat before, Admiral. They didn't know how to respond." Carter studied the battle recordings. The alien ships had superior technology in many ways, but they fought like they expected their enemies to follow certain rules. Human tactics were apparently outside their experience. "Effective immediately, all ships are to prioritize kinetic weapons," she ordered. "Energy weapons are secondary systems only. The production lines adapted within days. Human shipyards began, churning out vessels bristling with railguns and missile systems. The aliens' technological advantage was being neutralized by humanity's willingness to use whatever worked." Commodore Morrison, promoted after his successful engagement, led a squadron of 12 ships on hunting missions throughout the outer solar system. His orders were simple: find alien forces and destroy them completely. The Zephyrian response was everything Admiral Kexivore had feared. Their scouts reported that human ships were appearing everywhere, attacking with tactics that made no sense according to established galactic warfare protocols. "They're using kinetic weapons as primary armament," Captain Zalthek reported from his flagship. "Our shields are designed for energy-based combat. These projectile weapons are causing massive damage." Kexivore studied the tactical reports with growing alarm. "How many ships have we lost?" 17 confirmed destroyed, Admiral. 8 more heavily damaged. "The humans show no interest in capturing vessels or taking prisoners. Every engagement ends with total destruction of our forces." The alien commander had expected easy conquest, followed by simple occupation duties. Instead, he found himself fighting a war unlike anything in Zephyrian experience. These humans didn't just defend themselves. They hunted alien forces with a determination that seemed almost insane. Dr. Walsh's teams made another crucial discovery while analyzing captured alien databases. "They've conquered 17 star systems," he reported to the War Council. "But in every case, the local species surrendered after minimal resistance. They've never fought a prolonged campaign against determined opposition." President Rodriguez absorbed this information carefully. "You're saying they don't know how to handle real warfare?" "Exactly, Madam President. They're conquerors, not warriors. There's a significant difference. They're designed to overwhelm weak opponents quickly, not engage in extended combat operations. This intelligence shaped human strategy going forward. Instead of defensive operations, Earth's forces went fully offensive. Hunt the aliens. Attack their supply lines. Give them no time to adapt to human tactics." Captain Danny Stewart led a particularly successful mission against a Zephyrian supply convoy near the asteroid belt. 6 enemy ships carrying equipment and personnel were destroyed without a single human casualty. "They traveled in formation like they were on parade," Stewart reported afterward. "No combat spacing, no evasive maneuvers. When we attacked, they scattered instead of coordinating a defense." The pattern repeated across dozens of engagements. Alien forces were powerful but inexperienced in actual warfare. They had spent so long conquering weak civilizations that they had forgotten how to fight real battles. Human production reached levels that seemed impossible. The Vengeance-class dreadnoughts were rolling off production lines every 18 hours. Smaller vessels were being completed even faster. Earth's orbital space was filling with warships of all sizes. More importantly, every ship was crewed by humans who understood that this was a war of extinction. The aliens had made their intentions clear: submit or die. Humanity had chosen a third option: make the aliens die instead. Admiral Carter received reports that changed the strategic situation completely. "Our scout ships have identified the main alien fleet," Captain Morrison reported. 43 vessels holding position near Saturn's orbit. They appear to be waiting for reinforcements. Reinforcements? Intelligence suggests they've called for additional ships from their home territories. They clearly didn't expect this level of resistance. Carter studied the tactical displays. Earth now had over 300 combat vessels ready for deployment, with more completing every day. The alien force had superior technology, but was vastly outnumbered. "Prepare the fleet for full-scale engagement," she ordered. "It's time to show these aliens what human warfare really looks like." The mobilization was complete. Humanity had transformed from a peaceful, divided species into a unified war machine in less than a month. Every factory, every shipyard, every resource was dedicated to one goal: the complete elimination of the alien threat. The Zephyrians had thought they were attacking another primitive civilization. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the communications officer called out from across the bridge. The USS Liberty floated peacefully near Jupiter's largest moon, conducting routine patrol duties that had become almost boring over the past 6 months. "Captain, we're receiving an unknown transmission," Lieutenant Mary Johnson announced, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the ship's systems. "It's not from any Earth frequency, sir." Jake set down his coffee cup and walked over to the communications station. "Put it on the main screen, Lieutenant." The view screen flickered to life, showing a face that definitely wasn't human. The being had scaled skin, red eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, the words came through the ship's translation system in perfect English. "Attention, primitive inhabitants of the third planet," the alien said in a cold, formal tone. "I am Fleet Commander Zalthek of the Zephyrian Dominion. Your species has been selected for integration into our empire." Jake felt his stomach drop. This was what every space captain had trained for, but hoped would never happen. First contact with an alien species, and it wasn't friendly. "You have 72 standard hours to surrender completely," Zalthek continued. "All military forces must stand down. All government leaders must prepare for transfer of authority. Resistance will result in the total destruction of your civilization." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Jake stared at the blank screen for several seconds before his training kicked in. "Lieutenant Johnson, get me a direct line to Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha." Within minutes, the call was connected to the Pentagon. General Ryan Phillips appeared on screen, his weathered face showing concern even before Jake started. "Talking. General, we just received what appears to be a surrender demand from an alien fleet," Jake reported quickly. "They're calling themselves the Zephyrian Dominion, and they're giving us 3 days to submit." General Phillips was quiet for a moment, then nodded grimly. "How many ships, Captain?" "Unknown, sir. The transmission came from outside our sensor. Range. But if they're demanding surrender from the entire planet, they must have significant firepower." "Understood." Maintain your position and keep monitoring all frequencies. I'm calling an emergency session with the President immediately." The connection ended, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts and his crew. He looked around the bridge at the faces of his officers. They all understood what this meant. Humanity's first contact with alien life might also be its last. On Earth, President Amanda Rodriguez sat in the Situation Room surrounded by her top advisors. The emergency session had been called within an hour of Captain Morrison's report. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats filled the secure conference room. "Options?" President Rodriguez asked simply. "We try to negotiate," suggested Secretary of State Helen Barnes. "Maybe they want something specific. Resources, technology, territory. There might be room for compromise." Admiral Lisa Carter shook her head. "Their message was clear, Madam President. Total surrender or total destruction. That doesn't sound like they're interested in negotiation." Dr. Kevin Walsh from the Space Research Institute spoke up nervously. "We have no idea what their technology is capable of. If they can travel between star systems easily, their weapons probably far exceed anything we have." General Phillips pulled up a display showing Earth's military capabilities. "Our space-based defenses are limited. Most of our firepower is designed for planetary conflicts, not space warfare. If they have a significant fleet, we're at a major disadvantage." President Rodriguez studied the faces around the table. "Try to make contact. Open a diplomatic channel and see if they'll talk." The attempt was made through every communication method Earth possessed: radio, laser communications, quantum entanglement transmitters. Everything was tried. The response came back within hours. Zaltek's face appeared on screens around the world as the aliens broadcast their reply on every frequency simultaneously. "The offer of surrender stands. 72 hours. We do not negotiate with primitives. Your choice is simple: submit or be destroyed." President Rodriguez tried again. "We're willing to discuss terms. There must be some arrangement that benefits both our species." The alien commander's expression never changed. "You are mammals. You are weak. You will serve or you will die. No other options exist." The transmission cut off again, and this time no amount of calling could raise a response. Across Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Every television station, every internet site, every radio broadcast carried the same message. Aliens had arrived, and they wanted humanity to surrender completely. Some people panicked, others prayed. A few tried to pretend it wasn't real. But most humans did something the Zephyrians had not expected. They got angry. The 72 hours passed slowly. Military units around the world went to high alert. Civilian populations evacuated from major cities. Scientists worked frantically to understand what little they knew about the alien technology. Captain Morrison and the Liberty remained on station near Jupiter, watching and waiting. Other human ships took positions throughout the solar system, though everyone knew they were vastly outnumbered and outgunned. When the deadline arrived, President Rodriguez made a final attempt at communication. "We cannot surrender our freedom," she broadcast to the alien fleet. "But we're still willing to find a peaceful solution." The reply came not in words, but in weapons fire. Luna Colony was humanity's largest off-world settlement. 30,000 miners and researchers lived and worked in the underground facilities, extracting resources and conducting experiments. They had been evacuated to the deepest shelters when the alien ultimatum arrived, but they were still there when the attack began. The Zephyrian assault was swift and merciless. Energy beams from orbit struck the colony's surface installations. The protective domes cracked and shattered. Atmosphere rushed out into the vacuum of space. Emergency systems failed one by one. Captain Morrison watched in horror from the Liberty as Luna Colony died. His sensors detected the massive energy signatures of the alien weapons, far more powerful than anything in Earth's arsenal. The attack lasted only 20 minutes, but when it was over, 30,000 human beings were dead. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Johnson. "They actually did it." Jake felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. These aliens had just murdered thousands of innocent people to make a point. They thought this would break human spirit and force a quick surrender. They had made a terrible mistake. President Rodriguez addressed the world from the White House bunker, her face grim but determined. "Citizens of Earth," she began, "the aliens have shown us their true nature. They are not here to negotiate. They are not here to coexist. They are here to conquer and enslave us." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "But they have made one critical error. They think we are weak. They think we will break under pressure. They clearly don't understand what they're dealing with." Her voice grew stronger. "I hereby declare a state of total war. Every nation, every military force, every resource on this planet is now united, under one mission, the complete destruction of the alien threat." Around the world, humanity began to wake up. The massive chamber echoed with the voices of 100 different species. Commander Veltar stood at the center podium, his scaled hands gripping the edges as he looked out at the Galactic Council. His red eyes gleamed with confidence as he waited for silence. "Honored members," Veltar began, his voice carrying easily through the vast hall, "the Zephyrian Dominion brings great news. We have successfully conquered the Altair system. 3 planets now serve our empire, adding their resources to our growing strength." Murmurs of approval rippled through the council chambers. Many species nodded their heads in respect. The Zephyrians had built their reputation over decades of careful expansion. They never failed in their conquests. Admiral Kexavor stepped forward from the Zephyrian delegation. His armor caught the light from the chamber's central star, making him look even more impressive than usual. "This brings our total to 17 systems under Zephyrian control," he announced proudly. Each conquest was swift and clean. The local populations adapted quickly to our rule. Several council members whispered among themselves. The Dominion's success was well known, but hearing the numbers still impressed them. 17 systems meant billions of beings now worked for the Zephyrian cause. "But we are not here just to celebrate past victories," Veltar continued. "We come before you today to announce our next target." He gestured to a large display that appeared above the podium. A small blue and green planet spun slowly in the holographic projection. "This world is called Earth," Admiral Kexavor explained. "It lies in a system they call Sol, far from the major trade routes. Our scouts report that the inhabitants are primitive mammals who call themselves humans." The council members leaned forward to get a better look at the planet. It seemed ordinary enough. Water, land masses, a single moon. Nothing special about it at all. "These humans have only recently developed faster than light travel," Veltar said with a dismissive wave. "Their ships are crude, and their weapons are basic. They have not even unified their own planet yet. Multiple nations still fight among themselves over resources and territory." Laughter echoed through the chamber. Many species remembered their own primitive days, fighting wars before reaching the stars. It seemed almost cute that humans were still at that stage. "Their population is approximately 8 billion. Admiral Kexavor continued reading from his datapad. They have small colonies on their moon and the fourth planet in their system. Their military consists of separate forces for each nation. No unified command structure exists. More chuckling came from the audience. The idea of a species reaching space travel without first uniting their world seemed backwards to most council members. What makes this conquest particularly appealing, Veltar said, his eyes bright with greed, is the planet's natural resources. Rich deposits of rare metals exist throughout their crust. Their oceans contain chemicals we need for our industrial processes. The humans themselves will make excellent workers once properly trained. A delegate from the Crystalline Collective raised one of her many arms. What resistance do you expect, Commander? Veltar's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile on his species. Minimal at best. Our intelligence reports show their largest warships carry primitive kinetic weapons. They still use explosive projectiles and basic energy beams. Their defensive systems are planetary-based, not orbital. How many ships will you require? Asked another delegate, this one from the gaseous beings of Nebula 7. Admiral Kexavor stepped forward again. We plan to send our standard conquest fleet. 50 ships should be more than adequate. The flagship Dominance will lead 20 heavy cruisers and 29 support vessels. Captain Zaltek will command the operation. The numbers impressed no one. 50 ships was actually quite small for a Zephyrian conquest fleet. Most campaigns required at least 100 vessels. The fact that they planned to use so few ships showed just how little they thought of human capabilities. The operation timeline is simple, Veltar explained. We will arrive in their system and broadcast standard surrender terms. When they refuse, as they always do, we will demonstrate our power by destroying one of their outer colonies. This usually convinces primitive species to submit without further violence. And if they still refuse, another council member asked, then we will blockade their planet until they see reason, Admiral Kexavor replied with confidence. No species has ever withstood a Zephyrian blockade for more than a few days. Their economy will collapse, their people will demand surrender, and their leaders will have no choice but to accept our terms. The council members nodded approvingly. The Zephyrian method was well tested and effective. Show strength, apply pressure, accept surrender. It worked every time. We estimate the entire operation will take no more than 2 weeks, Veltar concluded. Within a month, Earth will be fully integrated into the Dominion. Their resources will flow to our industrial worlds, and their population will begin contributing to our expansion efforts. A formal vote was called, though everyone knew the outcome. The Galactic Council had never denied a Zephyrian conquest request. Their methods were clean, their results were consistent, and they always followed galactic law in their occupations. The vote was unanimous. Earth would be conquered. As the council session ended, delegates from various species approached the Zephyrian delegation with congratulations and trade offers. Everyone wanted to be on good terms with the Dominion, especially when they were expanding into new territory. Admiral Kexavor gathered his staff around the holographic display of Earth. Begin fleet preparations immediately, he ordered. I want every ship ready for departure within 10 days. Standard loadout. Enough firepower to destroy a moon if necessary. But we probably won't need it. Captain Zaltek, who would lead the actual conquest, studied the planet carefully. Any unusual features we should be aware of, sir? Nothing significant, Kexavor replied. The humans have divided their planet into over 200 separate nations. They fought thousands of wars among themselves throughout their history. They know nothing of unified resistance or coordinated defense. Sounds like an easy assignment, Zaltek said with satisfaction. The easiest, Veltar agreed. These humans are probably the most primitive species we've ever encountered who managed to achieve spaceflight. It will almost be embarrassing. How quickly they surrender. The Zephyrian delegation left the council chambers in high spirits. None of them suspected they had just made the greatest mistake in their species' history. They had no idea that they were about to wake up something that had been sleeping in the darkness between the stars. Earth waited quietly in its distant system, unaware that its greatest test was coming. The humans continued their daily lives, their small conflicts, their simple dreams of the future. They had no way of knowing that everything was about to change forever. 6 months after the surrender of Zephyr Prime, the galaxy looked very different. What had once been the Zephyrian Dominion was now a collection of free worlds, all under the protective oversight of the Terran Federation. Humanity had gone from an unknown species to the most powerful military force in known space. President Amanda Rodriguez stood in the newly constructed Galactic Embassy on Earth, preparing to address representatives from over 100 different species. The building itself was a symbol of humanity's new status, larger and more impressive than any diplomatic facility ever built. Admiral Lisa Carter maintained her position as commander of the Terran fleet, which now numbered over 2,000 combat vessels. The shipyards around Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt continued producing ships at rates that astounded galactic observers. Admiral Captain Jake Morrison reported from his flagship USS Vengeance. The regular patrol of former Zephyrian space is complete. All systems remain stable under local governance. Morrison's promotion to fleet captain had come with responsibility for maintaining order throughout the territories that humanity had liberated. His ships conducted regular patrols, ensuring that no new aggressive powers emerged to threaten the peaceful species. The Zephyrians themselves had been transformed from conquerors to supervised laborers. Under human oversight, they were rebuilding the infrastructure they had destroyed during their conquests. Their military technology had been completely dismantled, their warships converted to cargo vessels or scrapped entirely. Dr. Kevin Walsh, now Director of Galactic Intelligence, provided regular reports on the changing political situation. 17. Former Zephyrian systems have established independent governments, he reported to President Rodriguez. All have requested formal protection treaties with the Terran Federation. The protection treaties were humanity's way of ensuring that the galaxy's aggressive tendencies were kept in check. Any species that threatened the peace would face the same fate as the Zephyrians: complete military defeat and supervised reconstruction. Captain Danny Stewart commanded the Terran Exploration Fleet, which was pushing the boundaries of known space further than any previous expedition. His ships carried the latest technology developed from captured alien systems, plus innovations that were purely human in origin. We've made contact with 3 new civilizations in the Outer Rim, Stewart reported during a fleet conference. All peaceful species that have expressed interest in joining the galactic community under human protection. The expansion of human influence was rapid but carefully managed. Unlike the Zephyrians, humanity offered partnership rather than conquest to new species. The results were dramatically different. Voluntary cooperation instead of forced submission. Commander Julie Brooks, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, found herself at the center of galactic politics. The Council had formally recognized humanity as the galaxy's primary peacekeeping force, a role they had reluctantly accepted. The Council has approved our proposal for the Galactic Peace Enforcement Treaty, Brooks reported to President Rodriguez. Any species that commits unprovoked aggression will face immediate intervention by Terran forces. The treaty was humanity's way of ensuring that what happened to Earth would never happen to another peaceful civilization. The galaxy's aggressive species now understood that conquest would bring swift and overwhelming retaliation. Rear Admiral Tony Garcia supervised the construction of humanity's first intergalactic exploration vessels. These massive ships were designed to carry human influence beyond the current galaxy, seeking new civilizations and new challenges. The prototype vessel UFS Explorer is ready for initial testing, Garcia reported. If successful, we'll begin production of a full exploration fleet. The intergalactic ships represented humanity's long-term vision. Earth had mastered its own galaxy in less than a year. Now they were preparing to extend their influence to neighboring star systems beyond current boundaries. Dr. Walsh's research teams had made discoveries that changed everything about humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. Deep in the Zephyrian databases, they found references to an ancient warrior species that had once dominated galactic politics. The data suggests that humans are descended from this warrior race, Dr. Walsh explained to a gathering of Earth's top scientists and military leaders. The Zephyrians knew about humanity's heritage, but thought we had lost our martial capabilities over thousands of years of peaceful development. The discovery explained why human military tactics were so effective against galactic opponents. Humanity hadn't developed warfare despite being peaceful. They had rediscovered instincts that were encoded in their genetic memory. President Rodriguez addressed the galaxy from the Galactic Council chambers, speaking to representatives of every known species. The Terran Federation offers peace to all civilizations that choose cooperation over conquest. But let there be no mistake. We will not tolerate aggression against innocent populations. Her words carried weight because everyone knew humanity's military capabilities. The Terran fleet was visible throughout the galaxy, conducting patrols and exercises that demonstrated overwhelming technological and tactical superiority. The former Zephyrian territories had become showcases of what humanity could accomplish when given free rein. Planets that had been strip-mined were being restored. Species that had been enslaved were rebuilding their civilizations with human assistance. Captain Morrison's patrols encountered occasional problems: pirates, smugglers, and other criminals who thought the power vacuum left by Zephyrian defeat created opportunities. They were quickly disabused of this notion. Contact with hostile vessels in Sector 7, Morrison reported during one patrol. 3 ships attempting to raid a merchant convoy. Recommend immediate intervention. The response was swift and decisive. Human ships appeared within minutes, surrounding the raiders and demanding surrender. When they refused, they were destroyed quickly and efficiently. Admiral Carter reviewed the strategic situation from her command center on the orbital station Omega-1. Humanity controlled the largest and most advanced fleet in galactic history. No species or alliance could challenge Terran military supremacy. Admiral, her aide Captain Helen Barnes reported, we're receiving applications for fleet service from dozens of species. Many want to serve alongside human crews. The integration of alien personnel into human ships was carefully managed, but the results were promising. Species that had lived under Zephyrian oppression were eager to serve with the forces that had liberated them. Dr. Walsh's intelligence network now extended throughout the galaxy. The information gathered revealed that humanity's influence had fundamentally changed galactic politics. Aggressive expansion was no longer viable when it meant facing human retaliation. President Rodriguez met with the leaders of the 17 liberated worlds in a grand ceremony on Earth. Each species offered formal thanks for their freedom and pledged cooperation with human peacekeeping efforts. The galaxy is safer today than it has been in centuries, Rodriguez told the assembled leaders. But safety requires constant vigilance. We must never again allow aggressive species to threaten peaceful civilizations. The ceremony concluded with the signing of the Galactic Defense Compact, which formally established humanity as the galaxy's protector. Any attack on a peaceful species would trigger immediate Terran intervention. As the months passed, it became clear that humanity had created something unprecedented in galactic history: a stable, peaceful order backed by overwhelming military force. The Terran Federation had become the government that the galaxy had never known it needed. Admiral Carter stood on the observation deck of her flagship, looking out at Earth hanging peacefully in space. The planet that the Zephyrians had thought was primitive and defenseless was now the capital of a galactic empire. "Admiral," Morrison contacted her from his patrol vessel. "Long-range sensors are detecting some interesting signals from the next. Galaxy over? Want me to investigate?" Carter smiled. "Negative, Captain, but prep the intergalactic exploration fleet. It sounds like humanity's next chapter is about to begin." The Zephyrians had made one simple mistake. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for warfare. That mistake had cost them their empire, their freedom, and their place in galactic politics. But it had given humanity something far more valuable: the knowledge that they were the galaxy's apex predators, awakened after centuries of peaceful sleep. The galaxy would never be the same.